Welcome back, everybody. Mark here, and welcome to Lesson 8 of our tutorial series on Liberty Basic. Last night we did some programming with some sprites. I showed you how to actually load bitmaps and turn them into sprites. So tonight what we're going to do is we're going to do more work with those sprites. I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about talking about loops or doing some other things, but I figured let's talk about doing more with our sprites. So last night we cycled our sprites, and let me go over here and you guys can see we did cycle sprite Pac-Man 1. Well, that started from the first animation, so we actually have two images, mouth open, mouth closed. That started with number 1, and then it draws number 2, or cycles number 1 then number 2. For whatever reason, if we wanted to play that in reverse, all we have to do is make this a -1. And now it starts with our last animation sprite and counts down to our first. And now with the Pac-Man, you are not really going to be able to tell. So let me go to here. I've got it running. You're not really going to be able to tell, that it's 1 or 2. Just because it's going to play all our animations. They can't tell, but if we had like 5 or 6 in our animation that makes our animation really smooth, we'd be able to see that we can count down. I just want to let you know that's, a possibility if you need it. You can actually cycle through your sprites. And so just another setting to look at. We can also cycle our sprite once, which is really good for explosions. So right after the 1, if we were to type once here, that would only cycle through our animation once. And now our sprite goes off the screen. But our sprite keeps cycling because we're pressing the key. But if we had some automatic animation, we could just cycle that whole string of, animation images once, and that's it. Ours is going to keep going because we're pressing the key, but I just want to let you guys know there's another setting there where you can actually just go and cycle our sprite list or our animation list once. So we'll get that off there. But it's good for doing like explosions in the game. So you've got some automatic drawing that you're doing. Play that entire sprite one time through the loop, it's going to blow up and then it's gone. So it's just great for animation. Hopefully you guys are liking the new mic so far. Hopefully I sound clearer and crisper to you. Got a new microphone, got it set up, working with it. So let me know what you guys think of it. So we can do other sprite orientation as well. What we did is we actually had normal and mirror here. And let's just go ahead and copy this. And I want to show you guys what we can change on this. Click on this line. We'll go ahead and we'll paste 2 more in here. So the other one that we have is flip. So we can actually flip our sprite. And then we can actually rotate 180. So you guys can imagine, flip it top to bottom or rotate it 180 degrees. Now we're actually going to show these one at a time, so I'm going to comment out the other 2. So we already saw mirror, so let's go ahead and look at flip first. I'll go ahead and run this. Now when we're going to right, it's going to be normal, but when we flip it, see he's upside down now? See, now he's back, now he's upside down, because we're flipping him over. Before we were actually mirroring him, so it looked like he was going the other way. Now he's upside down whenever we press our left key. So let's go ahead and comment rotate in, and let's comment out flip. Now we can see rotate 180. So go right, it's going to be fine. 180, now he's upside down, looking in the other direction because we turned him clockwise 180 degrees. So just some more sprite commands you can use. You can flip, you can rotate, you can scale. Just useful commands. So I'm going to leave those in there, but I'll comment them out. And we'll leave it so it works like normal. Let's test it. We go right, we go left, it's looking good. All right, perfect. So the next thing I really wanted to talk to you about when working with sprites is what they call Z order. So we can actually tell our sprite to either go to the back or go to the front. That's the Z order of what we're drawing. So whatever is to the front, that's on top. So if we wanted to make sure we always see our character, we could always say, you know, sprite to front. So to do that, we'll add another line here. And we're doing everything with the keyboard because we're controlling our animation. In some games, we're actually going to set up some loops that actually play explosion. You know, there might be a game loop that's checking for, all right, load this, draw this, you know, explosion equals true. If yes, the missile fires, and then you see the explosion at the end. So there's other things that we really need to look at. But we want to make sure we can see that stuff, and that's where Z order comes into play. So if we say sprite to front, and then we'll just say Pac-Man. So we're telling him to come to the front. And we run this. It's really not going to change because he's already to the front. He's already on top just because of how we're drawing our bitmaps. But if I were to go and change this to sprite to back, and let me comment this one out so you guys have examples up on the screen. And I'll just add this new one real quick, gaming world, the handle of our window, and say sprite to back, no space in there, Pac-Man, and we go ahead and we run this. He's still on the screen. And the reason for that is he's the only sprite we have. But imagine that we drew a level, and I should bring another sprite in here to show you guys this. So let me make a quick sprite. And I'm going to keep you guys right here while I do it, because like I said, I want to show you guys what I'm doing. So let's go ahead and take this, and resize this pixels, and I'm going to do this the rough way. So 64, get rid of that. So 32 by 64. 32 by 64. Hit OK. I'm actually going to zoom in. Excuse me, clear my throat there. So let me zoom in a little bit more. And I'm actually going to draw a line right across the screen. And let me just draw, let's say, we got green. Yeah, let's make a block. So we'll just do green here. And let's draw this right across here. I guess that's not going to work. So we'll use our pen tool. Not that I like drawing with the pen, but I'm making the quickest sprite block you guys have ever seen. And then I can fill that. Boom. There we go. Big green sprite block. We save it. BMP in here, and I'll just call it green block. So green block. I'm going to hit save that. So that's our new sprite. Let's get that out of the way. So let's go ahead and load this. Load BMP. So we'll call it GB, green block. Real easy, right? Let's make it simple. And then it was green block dot BMP. Now let me just double check. I want to make sure that's capital B, which I didn't have here, so that's why I double checked. I didn't want it not to work when we loaded it. So we drew our green block, and now he's actually a sprite. You know, our green block. So let's go ahead and add him as a sprite. Let's add it under here so we can show you can have multiple sprites on the window. Gaming world. That way I can really show you Z order. Add sprite. Green block. And GB. We'll just kind of keep it easy. Let's keep it simple. So green block, green block. So let's go ahead and put him on the screen, and we'll do that in the same window here because we're not going to move him, so he can stay stationary. Gaming world, sprite, man, talk about spelling, huh? XY, green block, and let's actually tell our block where it is. We kind of remember how we started out, 225 and 550. So let's go ahead, and that's our Y, 550. So let's say, 525, and let's put them over 500. So 500 and 525. Let's just run that to see where it is on the screen. There it is, green block. And now when we come over with our Pac-Man, let's see where he is. See how our Pac-Man gets cut off by our green block? He's getting clipped by our green block. So that's the Z order. So the green block is actually closer. It's to the front. Let's go ahead and bring the green block down a little bit more. So 530. So let's say, right? Yeah, that should be down a little bit farther. So now let's really clip our Pac-Man. So you can see he's behind it. But let's go ahead and change this now. Comment out sprite to back. And uncomment sprite to front. So we're going across. He's going to get clipped. But as we're coming back across to the left, see how he's on top of the block? So he's behind it. Well, now because we gave the command and we never told it to go to the back, he'll always be on top of it now with the left. But you can see how we can actually change. So now he's in front of that block. So just a different look. So that way I can show you guys how to use sprite to back and sprite to front. Hopefully that clears it up for you. You have other sprites. The background doesn't matter. It's the other sprites in the game. That's the Z order. What do you want to see on top of what? So last night I talked about a challenge of stopping the Pac-Man from going off the screen. So I've got a couple of things we're going to do. These are actually pretty simple, believe it or not. We already have our move left and our move right. So to actually make him not go off the screen, let's make an if statement. And we're going to say if our Pac-Man X is less than or equal to 10, let's just say 10 so he doesn't go off the screen, then, move his position. Let's subtract his X 5 from his X position, and then we'll draw him to the screen. So if we were to run this now, and we go to the left, he's already stuck there. Go to the right. What did I mess up? You guys see how he's stuck there? What did I miss? Oh, I know what I did. Greater than. And I'm not going to edit that out. I'm going to leave it in there. So if Pac-Man X is greater than or equal to 10, then we want to actually let it move. So now this will work. It'll look better. There we go. So he goes to the edge of the screen. So we can go this way, go back. So he can't go off the screen anymore. So that stops him. So let's go ahead and do the same thing for the right. So if PMX, and this time it's actually going to be less than or equal to, and let's just say 1024. And then we'll say then PMX equals Pac-Man X plus 5. So he'll be able to move. So if we run that and we try to run off the edge of the right hand side of the screen, and he still goes. Let's go back and look why. Because he shouldn't go off the screen. So if Pac-Man X is less than or equal to, I did 1024, 1014, then PMX equals PMX plus 5. So let's try that again. Let's see. So that should stop him. He should no longer go off the edge. Nope, he's still going. Let's see why. So if PMX equals or is less than or equal to 1014, then And PMX equals PMX plus 5. Yeah, that should be right. So it's letting him go, so we got to figure out how to stop it. So that's what we're going to do here. So once we get here, he should stop. So right here, you guys can see we go left, he stops. It's not letting him go any less. Let's just do less than here. Let's run that. Let's just try. Let's get it working. So you can see sometimes with troubleshooting, you got to mess around. Oh, still let him go off the screen. He comes back. Let's see. So I'm wondering, let me see. Let's run the debugger. Let's look at this. I haven't really shown you guys the debugger, but it allows us to see character moves. So PMX, he's moving, he's moving, he's moving, he's moving. What does he get up to? See, that's why he's going off the screen. So our code is working. He's just going off the screen. So let's use debugging. So we'll say PMX 970. So you see how I use the debugger to help us out there. So greater than or equal to, and we'll say 970. Knew that should have worked. I was like, what's going on with this? So now let's go ahead and run it. So he's going, and he's going. He's going to get to the edge of the screen, and he's going to stop. There we go. We figured it out. So our 1024, is counting for the edges of the window from where we started. So when we go over, you can see that it's going to get clipped a little bit. So we want to make sure that we're in the confines of the window. But as you can see, it stops it from going off the screen now. So hopefully I showed you guys a little troubleshooting with debugging, figuring out, you got to think about, okay, what are we doing? What are we doing logically? This made sense, what we were doing. It's just the number was greater than it should have been. So that does work now. And I'm going to leave stuff like that in there. We'll troubleshoot it. Hopefully that'll teach you guys how to do troubleshooting when you're looking at it. So the last thing I want to do in this lesson is I actually want to show you how to output on the window the X and Y position. So now that we saw the issue we just had, let's go ahead and throw the X and Y position up on the window. And I talked that I'd show how to actually set the font. So because this is a graphics window, static text isn't going to work with the graphics window. We're actually going to have to use the pen, and that's a larger topic we're not going to get into right now, but the pen is basically used for drawing and writing. So, we can do different things. It allows us to do what we're going to do here. First, we're actually going to set our font. So we'll say font, Arial, 12, that's the size, 12 point. And we're going to do italic, and let's say bold. And I'm doing it right after the creation of our window so that it does any font we put to that window, that's what it's actually going to set that font to. So it's going to be big, it's going to be bold, and it'll be the Arial font. So now what we're going to do is actually in our keyboard command, that's where we want to actually have that show up. We'd have a loop, but it would be update UI, and it would always be there. But for what we're doing, I actually want to put it in with the keyboard commands, and that way we can see it. It makes it look pretty good. We kind of run through it. So one of the first things we're going to actually want to do is we want to make sure what we're printing on the screen is going to be correct. And so, because we don't want these numbers to actually keep going down and down and down on the X if we're no longer going X or going left. So what we want to do is we want to have an if statement in here. So we're going to say PMX is less than or equal to 10. and I like to put a little space in there, nice little formatting things. Then our Pac-Man X is equal to 10. So this way our X can never go below 10. If he's at 10, it's 10. And then we want to do the same for the higher number on the X. So PMX, so if he's going right, is greater than or equal to, and what did we say it was, 970, then PMX equals 970. So he can't go any greater than 970. So that way our X will stay between 10 and 970, depending on where Pac-Man is. But we need to actually put the text on the screen now. And to do that, we need to use the handle of our window because that's where we want the text to show up. And we want to tell the pen to be down for writing. Imagine a pen in your hand down on the paper. And then we want to set the color of that pen to black. Now I implore you, if you're really interested in how to work with the pen, there's a lot of great stuff in the help file. Hopefully in the future I'll do a lesson on it, but for right now this works very well for what we're doing. So now we want to go to Gaming World, or use our handle Gaming World. And this is where we want to place it on the screen. So we're going to place the text 10:15. And you know, you'd be like, why can't I do it 10? Text is placed, or the pen is placed at the bottom left-hand corner versus the top right-hand corner with controls. So the placement will be a little bit different. Sometimes you have to play around with it to get it to the right height. And then the last thing we need to do is get our text on the screen. So we'll say Gaming World. Wow. You guys see an error right here already? I do. I see a spelling error before we even compiled it. There we go. And now we actually need the backslash here, so it'll be printed on the screen for us. Without that, it doesn't show up. I can't remember off the top of my head why, but there's another reason there. But we'll say PMX, do our semicolon, then we'll say Y, go colon, semicolon, another semicolon, then we'll say PMY. So this is going to put X and Y on the screen for us. And we only need the backslash in the first X. We don't need it on everything else. And I've got to look that up. I can't remember it off the top of my head right now, but I'll explain it later on. So let's go ahead and run this. And you'll see, not until we actually press the keyboard input do we get our X changing. So we go over, we hit our 10, see it stays at 10. We go back up. Going to go all the way up. As soon as we hit 970, it's not going to go any higher than 970. So you can imagine if we had more of like a Final Fantasy type game, we could do our X and Y on the screen and find out where we're at. We can also use it for debugging. Now you see there's like white background to the text. There's a function to actually remove that and make that transparent so you can actually see just the text on the screen. I'm not going to do that in this lesson because it's a longer lesson. It's more advanced. Maybe that'll be tomorrow night's lesson. Let's put a transparency on that text. Let you guys play around with that and build that function. And that might be a way for us to start talking about functions and about calls to Windows API and DLLs. Kind of a more advanced topic. But I hope you guys got a lot out of this episode. I hope you like working with sprites. I hope this gets you guys thinking about how to be creative with this and what you guys want to do. If you guys have any questions, please post them in the comments section. If you haven't already, please hit that thumbs up button and please don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next lesson, guys.